Over to you, Chris.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the introduction. And I thank you everyone who showed up here with interest today and curiosity. I just happened to build some sort of a sales team with AI. And I think, the idea is that I share a little bit of the story, and then I hope to also maybe jump into a conversation about it. Because so it all kind of evolved only a couple of weeks ago, and it was one of those moments where I didn't really plan to do anything like that. But I see some you get from like A to B to somehow C that you didn't expect. And that's a bit of the thread of this, the red thread through the story. So it all started actually with this, I call it moment of truth. So I was participating a conference here in Copenhagen, which is called the Summit. And there were a lot of people in the room that are, working in the industry, and then I would say people who should be at the forefront of things. So when three speakers asked the question, who's already using AI agents? There were actually a couple of hands going up. So like 10, 12, I would say. And that was the moment where I thought, oh, wait a minute, am I missing out on something here? Because I work with my clients and I consult them in topics like AI, for example, not so much from a technological point of view, but more from like a cultural leadership point of view. And the question that prevails everywhere right now, especially in the DACH region that I'm working with mostly, is that kind of insecurity about, so what are we going to do with this AI now? How are we using it to become more efficient, to save costs? And I feel at the moment some of them are really stuck because they don't really know which way to go and what to do. And so I myself try to, try out as much as I can, have this like experimental mindset, be one of the first movers, because this is the stuff I need to know so that I can also kind of guide my clients and consult them in the best way possible. So that was why this moment kind of struck me, and I thought, oh my gosh, I should actually have been one of those people putting up her hand, and I didn't. And I really don't like these moments when I feel, okay, I'm missing out on something or I should do better. And that was the moment when I went into this kind of think box, I could say. And to give you a little overview of my journey with AI, maybe. So in 2022, I started using ChatGPT, as some of you probably also did. I can still remember that moment when I was sitting in my office working on a text for my website, and I am really not good at keeping things short and brief. So I had some trouble figuring out how to rewrite a text. And then a colleague came in for like a little coffee chat. She was petting my dog and we were chatting, and I tell her, because she asked me, what are you working on? And I say, well, this thing. And she says, maybe you could use this new tool, ChatGPT. And I was like, what? So I had never heard about this, and it had only just come out. So that was my moment with ChatGPT, and from then on, I started using it now and then, maybe a little bit like my clients are using AI at the moment. So it didn't really become a thing. So I didn't incorporate it into my daily work. It was just the starting point. But it became more and more. In 23, I added Fireflies to my AI stack, and I'm just pointing out the obvious AI tools. We were using so many tools every day that have AI incorporated. So I don't want to bore you with that, but Fireflies is a tool that you can use to actually record meetings and transcribe them, and you get like a better overview of tasks, to-dos, and stuff. Then 24, the year of Gemini, I also experimented a little bit with Midjourney. Last year, I got very fond of Lovable because of my, I think, programming roots. I love, putting things into something tangible. So it was really great for me to figure out how to use vibe coding. And then 26 has, for me, become the year where I not only realized that I'm not using AI only just as a sparring partner anymore, but it has become my kind of like secret colleague, because I work as a solopreneur, and I don't have people at my fingertips that I can spare with or talk to or ping pong ideas. So that role has more and more been outsourced to Claude. And then I now added Make, which I also will talk about in a second, because it has become part of that project I'm going to talk about. So after this event, I go home. It's a Friday afternoon, and I think, okay, so I don't have plans for the weekend. Now let's build something. Let's dive into this AI agents thing and find out first of all, what exactly is an AI agent and how can I build it? And so I had this hint of, well, there's something called Make that you can use. And so I got an account there. But then, you know, I'm being a consultant. I know that I always tell my client, don't start with technology, don't start with the solution, start with the problem. So I went to Claude and I said, hey, Claude, what can we build? And Claude kind of knows me a little bit because we've been working together for quite a few months. So Claude knows about my needs and maybe some things that I could need help with. And it comes up with several suggestions. And there were some things about research and synthesis. I work a lot with foresight, so sometimes it could be helpful to, you know, have an eye on the market or an ear on the market or what's going on in the Nordics, new startups, new trends, something I don't always follow up on myself because I don't have the time. Could be workflow automation, could be some maybe generating code, but none of that really resonated with me. But then Claude suggested, what about actually creating something that could help you with your sales activities? And that was the moment when I thought, oh, okay, that's actually a great idea because so my sales process looked a little bit like this. So it's a mess. I have these, like, I think I have these two sides in my brain. I'm a very mathematical person. I'm an engineer by training, but on the other hand, I have this like very creative side, and I love to just jump into things. And that actually was what is going on in my sales process. So it was not structured at all. It was a mess. I had started creating spreadsheets. I don't know how many of these spreadsheets are out there. I don't even know where they are. I had started using tools, but I mean, for my needs, it was just overdone. I don't need Salesforce. So yeah, I felt like I never really got somewhere because I would always lose threads. I would reach out to some people, forget about following up. And so, yeah, I mean, in the end, it always worked out, but I still had a bad conscience about it. And I thought I can do better. So why not use an AI agent to help me with my sales process? So first of all, I had to kind of start somewhere. And so I started feeding Claude with my, with my contacts. I need to actually rethink how I did it. And it was a very complex and very chaotic process, to be honest, because I went fully into experimental mindset. So it wasn't that I had planned that through. It was really just the dialogue and the iterative way of doing things that I ended up where I ended up. And the first thing was, I think that I shared that last spreadsheet with some contacts that I wanted to reach out to or had already reached out to for certain purposes. I asked Claude to help me, first of all, create a spreadsheet that had all the information in it that I need for the process. I did that, and then I provided Claude with my LinkedIn contacts to figure out, okay, who of those contacts are actually potential leads, maybe. So I also used or tried to use some tools like Phantom Buster, for example, which you can connect with your LinkedIn. So it can actually read LinkedIn posts from your contacts, which would have made sense because I wanted to figure out, okay, what's actually going on in the lives of my potential clients or of the clients that I already have. So what do they post about? So what is on their mind? What do they worry about? What do they need? But also maybe figure out, okay, is there something going on in their companies that I should be aware of? Are there news out there? So how do you get to all these sources without spending hours every day scraping this content myself? So that was the idea, to have some kind of system, to have a team, basically, an AI team that's doing all that work for me. And this tool Make that I use is basically not much else than just an automation tool. So it resembles a lot Zapier or If This Then That, if you've ever worked with this. So you can basically add certain services and put them together in a process, and then it just does this whenever you want it to do it. For example, once a day, twice a day or so. So that's what I did. And then I also created with Claude, I co-created a dashboard, which could give me an overview of what's actually going on in my sales process at the moment. And to be honest, that was the fun part of it, because I really hate spreadsheets, and I hate looking at spreadsheets. It just doesn't give me any inspiration. So I wanted something more fun, because sales for me at that point had not been fun at all. I don't like it. But it has become, I wouldn't say it has become real fun, but I mean, I think this whole process helped me to, first of all, follow up on everything, have an overview, really go into it every day, open this. I can now see, okay, so how many proposals do I have out there? What meetings are coming up? And what is it actually that I need to follow up with? But also to prepare those meetings in a better way. So now Gemini is actually helping me find information about the companies that I'm talking to. I'm still manually scraping LinkedIn or like feeding Claude with it, because to be honest, it's also a question of how much money do you want to invest in the process, because you find out on the way that everything costs money. So after already investing 90 euros monthly in Claude, I decided I will keep it at this level for now, but you can of course also pay for automatic scraping of LinkedIn posts from your contacts, for example. So with all this information given, Gemini feeds Claude with information about the company that I'm talking to, and then creates some specific emails for me to reach out to these people. Of course, I don't send them one-to-one. I just don't send them automatically. I do, of course, a lot of rephrasing and adjusting. But I had a really cool experience, which I found really cool and successful in that way, because I got a suggestion to reach out to one of my contacts that I hadn't been in touch with. So it's a completely cold contact on LinkedIn. But Gemini researched something, and Claude said, hey, look here, this is a company that has a problem, because their business model is actually going to die. So they're going to die in the next 2-3 years if they don't figure out how to turn around their business. And it gave me that information. It's in the financial industry. And when I got this automatic email from Claude, I didn't understand a lot of what was actually going on in this company, because I work with a lot of finance organizations, but that specific topic I hadn't really looked into. So I did a little bit of research myself, but then I reached out to this person with the information I'd gotten, and I'd of course validated. And the funny thing is, he wrote back like a long email, because I had triggered a point, and we got into a coffee meeting, and I actually now have the opportunity to send him a proposal for something that I could do for him to help him figure out how to turn his business around. So, I mean, I'd still not, I haven't gotten the sign off for this project, but I mean, it was just a really cool thing on the way that I realized, okay, this is really working. So my little AI sales team is doing a lot of work for me, and it works pretty good. And before I go into the conversation, I would like to share some takeaways with you. So one is definitely start with your process, not with the tool. I always emphasize this, also working with my clients, because otherwise you will just get sidetracked. You will end up somewhere completely crazy, and your brain will experience brain fry. So don't do that. The second thing is, I want to say expect the frustration, and it will be there, but embrace it. Because the struggle is where the learning lives here, right? So, I mean, just go through it, and you will have days where I don't know, I was talking to Claude and wipe coding, whatever, for a day to find out this is all bullshit. I mean, we need to start from scratch, because this dashboard has become a monster. So let's just reduce everything and just focus on this thing. And the last one is keep it simple. So don't let AI talk you into something you don't need, because a lot of times it can get very confusing, especially working with ChatGPT and Gemini. It always gives you all these suggestions what it could do for you, but just keep your track and keep your red thread, and don't get sidetracked, and don't try to incorporate too many things at the same time. So yeah, that was my little recap of what I did and how I ended up here in the session today.
Very good. Is there any chance you could show us a teeny tiny live demo, or just a screen? Like, can you give us a little bit of a glimpse underneath the slides? Would that be possible?
Let me just have a look if there's any confidential. I haven't prepared that actually, but let me just have a look if I can maybe
give it a second. And then in the meantime, people can think of other questions, reflections. I'm also, of course, curious. This is a smart room, I know. So perhaps somebody already did this or did something similar. If that's you, it would be amazing if you were willing to just tell us a little bit about what you've done. I really like this idea of you're thinking, Chris, of connecting these different sources. I think whether you are working in a super large organization like Charlotte from London or a solo organization, I think this kind of level of AI has become also synonymous with automation. I think makes a lot of sense. And I think so far automation has been approached more from a large scale. All right, let's do this, let's do these heavy processes and let's digitalize them and automate them. And I think now we're all of a sudden capable of automating these individual things we've done, and also perhaps even things that we weren't able to do before, because like you said, Chris, there's just too much going on. And whether you love spreadsheets or not, this, I think, holds a lot of promise.
Sure. I took a screenshot. Give me a second. I just need to see that I can cut out the sensitive information because there's a lot of names and stuff in there. So
sure. Any comments or questions, reflections from the group? Nicole, I know I called on you earlier, and you're way more used to Teams. Perhaps
sorry,
you can have
a
beautiful comeback now.
I think I was on mute when you were talking and I was saying something, but whatever. Chris, thanks for the talk. Question for you that I had is, did you integrate this with different systems, like pulling in different items to Claude?
Yes, so the basis is Make, which is actually
I
use. I mean, Make and Claude Code basically. Sorry.
Keep going. Yeah.
So Make is basically providing the process, and then I'm adding several tools like Google Mails, Google Spreadsheets, Claude, Gemini. That's it. And then I'm working with Claude Code to create that dashboard. I took a screenshot. I will just give me a second. I would share.
Yeah, I think it'd be easier if I see it.
Yes, I'll just try to share my screen again.
And in the meantime, Marco, I think, stood up and sat back down in Helsinki and put in the chat that he's also on the curve here using N8N. And here we see something from Chris.
Yes. So yeah, excuse me that it is in German. I'm sorry for that. I don't even know what it is in German. But yeah, so the idea is basically that I have several tabs up here where, there's, pipeline means it's mostly like all of my contacts, things that I won, proposals that are out, things that are put on hold, what's going on this week. So it shows the upcoming meetings, and then I can actually click on the people and I get information from Gemini, and then I can I can actually manually feed this into Claude if I want to get some suggestions for follow-up emails or for conversation scripts. So here it's just like the overview, so I can see all the things that are important for me to see, which is, so how many proposals, how clients have I won, how many offers are out, etc. How many prospects do I have? So I mean, and then it tells me also, of course, gives me all the information about the people that I'm talking to, that I now actually grade out, and when I'm going to talk to them, etc. So basically everything at my fingertip that I need. And so any questions, any more questions to that? Just come back to
very good.
You.
Very good. Really impressive. Let's hear it from other. This is normally a very talkative group. Perhaps we can go all the way to the UK. Will, joining us from Squiz. I know this is also a topic that's of interest to you, not only because you joined, but also having worked with you for a while. What's your reflections on this?
I think it's really interesting. I think we're all trying to be not to let anything slip through the gaps, right? And in a new business context, that's what you're always losing sleep over, right? Have I turned over every stone? And doesn't matter how many reminders you put, or if you do use CRMs like HubSpot, I have about 300 to-dos that are still in there that I will probably never get around to, right? And we've, as an organization, we're now spending a lot of time in Notion, which does some things so we can build databases in Notion. It's now connected to Gmail. It will send emails, populate it, and you can then start to kind of take Clay is obviously a big thing in the demand generation world. It's you kind of got your own lightweight Clay, but then also send all your outbound in. So it's kind of a lot of this like technology has existed, like sales engagement software and things like that, that for sole traders or individual consultants hasn't really made sense. But now we're kind of in this world of building. We're all just building it on LLMs instead. So yeah, it's really interesting. And thanks, Chris, for sharing what you're up to.
You're welcome. And thanks for sharing about Notion. That's also an interesting tool that I haven't really explored so much, but I use it more for notes. But yeah, I heard that you can do a lot of good stuff with it.
Well, it's also your context window. So it takes all of your notes and then starts and analyzes all your emails, and then it will start to write in your tone of voice. So I've found that the quality of the outbound emails that it creates is a bit higher. And it has the context of, where you're coming from.
Nice.
Wow. Yes. Daniel from Spain, I think there was a raised hand, but perhaps you changed your mind.
I was thinking about what you were building, because I've been building something similar, only that I've done it so far in AdWords part of the process. So firstly, like identifying the right companies, if they are in the right time, and all that information in order to kind of segment that and then go to find the right people. So I'm about to go through the step of going to find the right people, and it doesn't look like there's too many databases out there that are free to start with, or not very expensive, and actually usable for these goals. So you mentioned that you haven't gone the road of LinkedIn, so I was curious about that. Like, how do you find the people actually?
Yeah, good question. I also tried a lot of, I tried some of those services as well, but then I decided to just do the work by myself, because I feel I also tried the Sales Navigator and stuff, but it never really gave me the results that I wanted or needed. So now I'm back to actually manually doing that. I'm also manually reaching out to people, because there was also tools, I forgot the name, but there's a tool which you can use you can just put in like the results of a LinkedIn search, and then you can put in an email, and then it sends out this connection request, or like a connection request message, and it sends it out to all those people without you doing anything. You can see it in the background working, which I also used, and it actually sometimes it really worked well. But to be honest, I recently discovered that for more high valuable, meaningful connections, it's better to do that by myself, and to see, okay, what is that these people are actually writing about? Am I only going for second degree connections, and then refer to something very specific they posted about, or they have in their profile or something, which is working much better. And then taking it from there, hopefully getting a coffee meeting about a joint interest or something. And if that doesn't work, then they're at least still just my contacts for now. And then I hope to, transition to like a better relationship over the time.
Very good. And as I'm seeing on the chat, I think there is a total explosion in tools. Thanks for sharing. Also, freemium models in there. Thank you. Well. But then I think also the comments from you, Daniel, also for me kind of remind like how big this process is. And I think that's also the comment from Lars, is that, this makes sense. There's so many steps in this journey. So from the initial connection request that you said on LinkedIn, but I think it's also staying up to date on, which company has a new CEO. Is there any other notable changes that it would just be good to know of? And could an agent or kind of an automatic dashboard service that alongside the coffee, ideally at 8 a.m, it would save us a lot of time of having to go through. And I think we all faced by, I think like you said, just missing that. It's not even in fear of missing out. It's just that we just can't, we miss out, and there's just nothing we can do. And perhaps this tool can help us at least say, all right, here's from your key accounts, key things you should know. Here's from second degree things, big changes, people who have changed their jobs, people who have been promoted. And then, yes, it probably ends up, and I'm normally the optimist, but it probably ends up where you said, well, then you have 800 tasks in another system that you won't get to, right?
What Chris actually articulated really well, though, is in the phrase called a plain qualified segment. So you know how we always like categorize our customers like, well, they're businesses that are between 10 million or 100 and 150 staff. Like, well, what happens when they turn to 151 staff? Like, do we just ignore them as a prospect?
Yes.
But there's this great go-to-market engineer, Jason Crawford. He has coined the phrase plain qualified segment. So you've got to try and find something. So using research and using LA that really speaks to them, and they'll be compelled to actually respond to you. And Chris, sounds like through the ecosystem you've created, you were able to hone in on what that problem is and come in with something insightful. And then you had a very meaningful conversation about it, rather than like your spray and paint canon of like,
Yes.
I am business X, I do X, Y, and Z. Shall we have a meeting? And the answer is delete.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very good. Yes, thank you very much. This became exactly as I was hoping for. An update from your side, Chris. I think we all could relate to also your opening of being in that room and feeling behind, and we should be doing more with this. And then also the evolution of the tools. So thank you. Really appreciate getting something together. It's exactly what I was hoping for. 50-50 mixture of talk and actual conversation. A screenshot also, thanks for that. But also seeing how quick this moves is, I think, even for me, sometimes truly astounding. So thank you. And thanks to everybody who joined us. That's all we had. Let's keep the learning going together. I'll make sure to write this up. And I really appreciate the open sharing here. Feel free to connect with each other left and right. And let's keep the conversation going. But for now, thank you very much, Chris. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you everyone for coming and joining. And yeah, please connect with me on LinkedIn.